Sean Ray for DigitalMuscle.com. I'm joined with the voice of bodybuilding, Bob Ciccarello. We are here in Tampa.
Donning the mask.
Yes, we just concluded the New York Pro Men's Prejudging here in Tampa, Florida, Bob.
Yep, sure did. And wow, these guys brought it. It was 8 deep, and we haven't seen a show that deep in probably the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
But all these guys brought it. They all brought something completely different. I mean, there's few that were really comparative when it really came to just apples and apples.
Yeah, I mean, we saw a couple familiar names in Max Charles and, of course, John De La Rosa. But, I mean, the way they mixed and matched that prejudging lineup in terms of here's the last call out, here's the last call out, here's the last call out, it totally left me kind of confused. But the guy from Iran really stood out. I don't want to butcher his name.
Hassan. Mustafa. Let me tell you, this guy's under the radar. He doesn't get a lot of love out there. He doesn't speak a word of English. He's not really over. He's from Kuwait.
Yeah.
Actually, is where he's training from. I don't think he's originally from there.
Right.
But this guy's got some muscle, man.
Yeah,
I mean, he is put together. He was just a touch off, and I think it was enough to put him in this lineup out. But man, he's got some muscle, man. And let's face it, at the end of the day, Sean, it's a muscle show.
Yeah, it's a muscle show. He's going to have to dry out, and that's what we have prejudging in finals for. So he does have a little bit of time, a short amount of time, to possibly dry out and show a different look tonight. But when you don't have the name backing you up, it's hard to get into that first glimpse, because now you're going up against guys that do have names. I mean, Max Charles from the front, he's very close to where he should be.
Let me tell you the difference. Max was getting better as he was going.
Right.
Justin Rodriguez from New York was getting better as he was going. He was kind of on the outside looking in, but then all of a sudden he kind of worked his way up in the lineup. Ian Villieri,
from
much
Canada.
better than Tampa. Tampa, he was a mess.
Yeah, he's bigger here.
Color was all over the place. It just wasn't flowing. Boy, he corrected whatever he had to correct, and he's in the mix. He might be in for the win here today.
Yeah.
John De La Rosa, probably the best John De La Rosa we've seen. Again, he still has a slight problem with hanging on.
Yeah, I mean, for the front, he looks a little drier than he does from the back, which is his weakness.
Yeah. And then you had, I'm trying to think of who else was in that first.
Well, Patrick Moore looked good too.
I was just going to say.
He still looks a little bit streamlined, right? I mean, I'd like to see him a little thicker.
Yeah,
especially in the hamstring department.
He looked great at the Olympia. He faded at the Arnold badly. They tried some different techniques. They didn't work. He kind of went back to the drawing board. It looks like he got back a little bit of that.
Yeah.
But they like him, though. He flows very well.
X-frame, tiny little waist.
He does need to fill. It looks like he just needs to mature. Like he just needs time in the gym.
Yeah.
Is really all he needs.
And that's tough to do, coming off of the Olympia, then into the Arnold, and now here. That's a tough run.
It is a tough run. Like I said, when you really get down to it, you had 8 different looking physiques. Mm-hmm. Usually there's 3 or 4 that are kind of like, okay, let me, take a look at this guy. This guy's got this guy's got that. But they all had something completely unique.
Well, the good thing about this is that it can change on the drop of a dime, because I talked to a few people out there and they had 4 different people had 4 different winners.
I know, right?
And that's the beauty of the prejudging. But what's going to determine this contest is what happens tonight, which means none of them can let up.
Well, here's what you got to think about now. Which way are they going? Now, Ian Villieri may have had the best of both worlds. He was in great conditioning. He's got a lot of muscle. He's a big kid. He's wide. He's got the small waist, the flaring thighs. Very Dennis Wolf looking,
right,
from years ago. Now, if you go that route, well, then somebody's got to compare to him. Mm-hmm. So is it De La Rosa? Now, De La Rosa was getting a lot of love from the judges. He's got a better physique, technically, as per flow, symmetry, proportion, that type of thing. But he didn't have that crisp conditioning.
Yeah, the conditioning really hurt.
Hassan had the muscle, but he was starting to fade a little bit. So it's going to be, Max Charles is probably the best Max we've seen. Still a little bit light from the legs from the back, but not from the front. From the front, boy, he's really bringing it. And
I talked to his trainer, Milo Sarchev, and he said he didn't have access to a hamstring machine during the whole COVID lockdown.
Yeah,
so a lot of disadvantages for the athletes. But the good thing about this competition is that it's up for grabs. We don't know who's actually going to win this show, but right now, one guy is going to win an Olympia qualification. That's going to take place here tonight at the Marriott in Tampa, Florida. There's a live stream going on, Bob. So if you guys want to find out the results and you missed the live stream, make sure you tune in back here to DigitalMuscle.com. For Bob Chick, I'm Sean Ray.